The NBA Draft Combine begins on Wednesday, and meaning that nearly 70 of the best basketball prospects this side of the NBA will be trying to prove themselves up close and personal with NBA front office personnel, interviews, 5-on-5 hoops, athletic testing, physical measurements. This is, essentially, a job fair for NBA prospects, and there are quite a few that will have plenty on the line this week. This list is made up of 14 players that have quite a bit on the line as this week commences. A player with a asterisk next to their name has not yet signed with an agent. The guys that weren't seen. One thing that was clear with the players that were invited to the Combine is that the NBA prioritized the unknown. College basketball All-Americans like Trevon Bluiett and Joel Berry, two players that every NBA scout has seen play dozens of times, did not get invited, while talented underclassmen that missed some or all of last did make the cut. Jamie Squire, Getty Images. Michael Porter Jr., Missouri. The big thing for Porter in this draft process is going to be his medical records and who he decides to share them with. He missed essentially the entire after undergoing back surgery, and no team is going to risk a top 5 pick on him unless their doctors give the all clear. That likely will not happen at the Combine. What will happen, though, is that Porter is going to have a chance to interview with some front offices, and that could help assuage some other concerns about him, that his arrogance and cockiness is too much. Does he already think he's an NBA superstar? Is the work ethic there to capitalize on the potential that he has? Jarred Vanderbilt, Kentucky *. Vanderbilt is another guy who was derailed by injury. He averaged just 17 minutes in 14 games missing the first 17 games of the year with a lower left leg injury, the same thing that kept him out of the lineup for Kentucky's final 6 games of the. Vanderbilt is a big-time athletic with a body that can handle some physicality and the versatility to defend multiple positions. For someone whose career has been marked by injuries, selling a team on taking him early enough that he can get some guaranteed money has more importance for him than it does other players at his level. D'Antony Melton, USC. Melton was in line for what many believed to be a breakout before getting caught up in the FBI's investigation into college basketball. He didn't play one possession for USC this year despite putting up impressive +40 assists, steals and blocks numbers as a freshman. He's had nearly a year to train and develop for this year's draft, and this week will be his chance to show to NBA scouts what he's now capable of. Proving he has a consistent jumper would be nice. Brian Bowen, South Carolina *. Bowen, a top 25 prospect coming out of high school, did not play this after the FBI alleged that a $100,000 payment plan was set up to get to him to Louisville. Bowen has since transferred to South Carolina, but there is no guarantee that he'll ever be eligible to play next. If he can get himself drafted in a range where he can get a guaranteed deal, that might be his best bet. Billy Preston, Kansas. After spending the first 2 months of the college basketball waiting to get cleared, Preston left to sign a professional contract in Bosnia. He played a few games for KK Igakea, but he didn't make much of an impact. Preston was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school, a 6'10" power forward with plenty of talent and even more question marks. There is a lot on the line for him this week as he tries to prove he is an NBA talent with an NBA outlook. The 3 and guys that need to prove they can 3 Oregon D. Everyone knows how valuable a 3-and-D wing can be, but that's not the only thing that NBA teams are looking for. They want multi-positional defenders that can prevent penetration as well as rim protectors, all of whom that can, of course, make threes. Here are 4 names that could play their way into the first round. Kevin Huerter *. Maryland. The guy that NBA draftnooks fell in love with from Maryland was Justin Jackson, a long-armed, 6'7" combo forward who spent much of this battling through injury. Jackson has some things to prove in his own right this year, but it may surprise some Terps fans to know that there's an outside shot of Huerter playing his way into the first round of the draft. Huerter, a lanky, 6'7" wing, averaged 14.8 points on 42% three-point shooting last. The key question with him is going to be whether or not he has the tools to be a multi-positional defender. The shooting stroke is already there. Sagaba Konate *. West Virginia and Omari Spellman *. Villanova. In an ideal world, an NBA team would be able to draft both Konate and Spellman and then blend Konate's shot-blocking ability, a block rate of 15.6 better than Jaren Jackson and Mo Bamba, with Spellman's ability to stretch the floor, 43.3% three-point shooting, to create the NBA's ideal 3-and-D center. Unfortunately, this is not yet something that is medically possible, which means that NBA teams will be evaluating a couple of things during the combine. Just how much more room for improvement is there with Omari Spellman's body? Can he lose more weight and get more explosive, thus making him a better shot blocker, without doing himself any physical harm with Konate? NBA teams will likely be looking at whether or not his 79% free throw shooting on 100 attempts is the kind of thing that could lead to being a capable three-point shooter at some point in his career. Melvin Frazier, Chalane. Frazier's name is probably not one that you've heard all that much about, but there is a very real chance that the Louisiana native hears his name in the first round. An athletic, 6'6" wing, Frazier is well built with a 7'2" wingspan. He also significantly improved his shooting this, making 38.5% of his threes and improving this true shooting percentage by more than 10 points. Defensive-minded, positionally versatile and three-point range. That has NBA role player all over him. The question that people at the Combine will be looking to answer is whether or not this shooting was a fluky or a legitimate improvement. Abby Parr, Getty Images. The guards trying to prove they can be NBA PLAYMAKERSTYUS Battle, Syracuse *, trying to figure out what to make of Battle as a prospect is difficult. On the one hand, he spent this as an inefficient, shoot-first lead guard that had more turnovers than assists. On the other hand, he was more or less the only outlet offensively on a Syracuse team that didn't provide him with much help and asked him to take a large number of bad shots. Did he shoot under 40% on the because HES a bad shooter or a good shooter that spent the taking low percentage shots? That, along with the question of whether or not Battle is going to be a good defender at the NBA level, to the things he will be looking to prove to NBA teams. Dante Divincenzo, Villanova *. DiVincenzo is in such a weird spot here. He was very much in the eye of NBA scouts this year, playing on the nation's best team alongside four more guys that could end up getting to the NBA at some point. But he also spent the year looking like he was an inconsistent, streaky scorer that struggled when handling the ball against pressure. Can he prove HES more than that? Jevon Carter, West Virginia. We all know how good of a defender Jevon Carter is. The question that needs to be answered is whether or not he can be a point guard. One problem he had throughout his college career was shot selection, but like Battle, was that a product of who he is as a player or the way that West Virginia played Devin Hall. Virginia, people don't seem to realize just how good Virginia's players are until they get to the NBA. Tony Bennett has done a terrific job of turning his program into a pipeline for role players at the next level, and Hall might be the next in line. A lefty playmaker, Hall shot 43.2% from three and averaged 3.1 assists despite playing at the slowest tempo nationally and not being a point guard. He has good size and, playing for Virginia, is clearly going to be able to defend. This will be his chance to prove himself worthy of a pick that will get to him a guaranteed contract. Jaylen Hands, UCLA *. Jaylen Hands didn't exactly have a great. He didn't defend well this, he made poor decisions, HES not a great passer, HES an inconsistent shooter, and he did all that while playing behind one of the best point guards in the country in Aaron Holiday. That last part might be the one that is the most relevant here. Were Hands' struggles this a result of simply being forced out of position by a guy having an All-American, or should there be legitimate concern about Hands' future as a basketball player?